Hey guys, it's Zylo Beta. This is my devlog, or I guess more like a dev memoir since I've already finished the game. For the past month or so, I've been working on a mini project using Unity, a game about nukes named Missile Crisis. It's such a dumb name, but I love it. The aim of the game is to destroy your enemy's missile launchers, while defending your own from being hit. So basically, you use your nukes to blast your opponent's nukes out of the sky. Each person has both turrets and nuclear power plants, which act as economy buildings. It costs money to fire missiles, so you can't just spam missiles and hope to win, as you'll soon be broke, just like me. The game was mostly inspired by the classic arcade game Missile Command, where you play as the Americans blasting Soviet nukes out of the sky. Sadly, this Cold War reference was only in the arcade version and not the console versions later released, but it's still fantastic. I wanted to pay homage to the Cold War era theme with the name of my game, so that's why I gave it the name Missile Crisis. I'm not sure if I can joke about the Cold War, but that's kind of what I just did with this game, so oops. I wanted it to be two-player, so I thought instead of blasting random missiles coming out of the sky, I want players to have bases of their own and shoot each other's missiles out of the sky. Although we'd have to have one on the ground and one in the sky for it to work the same way. So that resulted in a funny looking game layout, but hey, I never said the game was realistic. In addition, I've been playing some real-time strategy games lately, like Age of Empires 2, and I was partly inspired by that, so I also implemented some economy and strategy in the game. In Missile Command, you have to defend your little bases, and in real-time strategy games, you have to defend your economy buildings. So I figured, hey, let's just put the two together, and bam, the game isn't just skill now, it also takes strategy, because you need to use your missiles wisely. I wanted to add some more types of missiles though, each with different abilities and different costs. The missile, which costs only $1 and doesn't do much damage against buildings, but is a good counter unit. The warhead, which costs $3 and instantly destroys any building or missile, including the drill, which costs $5 and can shred through regular missiles and buildings alike. Like all good strategy games, there's a counter system here. Missile beats warhead, warhead beats drill, and drill beats missile. Now, there's a little bit more to it. Missiles can be other missiles, warheads can be other warheads, and drills can be other drills. However, you'll want to always be doing the most cost-effective counter to stay on top of your opponent with your economy. So why would you want to use the drill if it's so expensive? Well, it forces your opponent to use a warhead, otherwise they'll lose one of their buildings. Warheads are cheaper to use to destroy buildings, but can be destroyed by the lowly missile, unlike the drill. I'll stop blabbering about my glorified rock, paper, scissors and get on with some of the other parts of the game, but I just wanted to let you know I'm very proud of myself for this matchup system. I wanted there to be a way for defense to be easier than offense, so it'd be easier to shoot down missiles close to your base, and harder to attack your enemy's base before they can defend it. So I settled on making the missiles faster at launch and slow down to a minimum a few seconds afterwards. That way, it's easier to shoot down missiles too close to your base, and the slowdown mechanic prevents it from becoming a spam fest. That's all the game design stuff. My goal was to make a simple and balanced game, yet make it pretty intense and difficult as well, and I think it worked out. The art probably is the simplest part of the whole project. I made some low poly-ish graphics for the game using Blender. I made the mistake of using too large of a physical scale for the objects, so it was difficult to move around the scene and even more difficult to implement 3D sound later. Textures were either made within Blender or using GIMP. I used GIMP to make the smoke, explosion, and fog textures, which are all the same by the way, as well as some of the UI assets. I used the Capture It font for all the text throughout the game, which looks pretty militaristic with its stencil look, and it was made by Typescout on dafont.com and completely free to use. The sound was probably the most fun part. Being both stubborn and broke, I was determined not to use anyone else's sound effects for the game, so I made some of my own with Reaper. To make explosion sounds, I used a snare drum and kick sound from a drum set, and distorted the actual heck out of it. A little bit of reverb, EQ, and slight sound cancellation, which was never quite perfect. I ended up with these sound effects. Being a musical person, I also wanted to write my own music. Again, I think I've been playing too much Age of Empires, but I created a warlike soundtrack for the main menu. and a battle theme for the game. So, lessons learned? Well, first, check the physical size of your objects. If your scale is huge, it can become incredibly difficult to edit. And I had to whip up a weird 3D sound workaround because in Unity 3D, sound can't be heard if it's too far away. Kinda like real life, huh? 2. Don't delete code if you're testing new things. Comment it out. I made the mistake of deleting a huge chunk of code and ended up needing it again because my new code didn't work. Comment sections of code out that you may use again, since it doesn't run them and it doesn't really affect anything, you just have it in case you need it again. I'm pretty proud of what I made, and I hope that you guys will enjoy it too. You can play it on my itch.io website, which of course will be linked in the description. It's free, so there's nothing stopping you from playing it right now. Although the idea was simple, it took a lot of time refining the gameplay and trying to make it as fun and straightforward for the user as I could. If you have any tips for me or ideas for future projects or game ideas in the future, please comment. I appreciate all feedback. And remember guys, life's a game. Have fun with it.